So it's late summer here in the garden, and this is my asparagus patch. And normally early in the year, late spring to early summer, this is producing quite well, and we do get quite a bit of asparagus out of this. And this time of year it is done producing, and usually what happens is it goes to fern like this. And we usually let it go to fern. It's my understanding that that feeds the root system, collects what nutrients it needs out of the air, and just revitalizes everything. But this is the time of the year that we will usually try to put some feed down. Normally asparagus is considered a heavy feeder, and you want to keep manure teas and whatever you can put as natural fertilizer. But it's normal for it to go to fern like this, and usually this will dry out later on in the year, and once it dries out we will go ahead and cut it off and just get it ready for next year. But what I wanted to show everybody is if you do raise asparagus, what you'll notice if you have any female plants is the female plants will grow these little berries on here. So only the female plants will produce the berries. But this is the time of year that you want to keep your eye on the berries. And if you plan to harvest any seeds to either share with friends or to reseed your asparagus bed, now is the time you want to start paying attention and taking action. You notice these berries are green right now, but what will happen is over time, as they mature, they will start to ripen. And as they ripen, what they'll do is they'll start to turn kind of this color of brown, and then after they turn brown, they'll usually turn a bright red like that one right there. Now when they turn red, those are ready to harvest, and you can gather those and save them for replanting your asparagus. Now these berries are considered poisonous. You do not want to eat them. They will make you sick. They will make animals sick too, so you definitely want to keep those away from little kids. The red color makes them look attractive. But what I like to do is come out to the garden, and I have kind of picked this plant over. I did notice this appears to be a female plant here, and I've got another one over there that's just loaded with berries. And well, as a matter of fact, I've got a Ziploc bag here that I picked over about a 10-minute period. And what I'm going to do is just take these and show you what you have to do to get them ready, or what you have to do to harvest them and then get them ready to plant out. Now you can take these berries and sow them directly into the soil. Just make a little hole and put the whole berry down in there. And it does take a little bit of time for that to dry out and get the seed that's inside actually ready. But let me show you how this works and what you'll do. I'm just going to go ahead and pluck one of these red berries off of here. And if you take this and actually smash it open, the juice will come out, and inside of there, I'll try to get focus, you'll see this little black thing right there. And that is actually one of the seeds. And each of these berries will usually have 2 or 3 seeds in it. Try to get the other one. So this one looks like it had a couple of them in there. But if we take this and just kind of rinse all that red goo off, then we have some seeds that are ready to go. And you can let those dry out and store them away for next year. Otherwise, you could sow them right away this year. What I like to do is just go ahead and rinse them off and keep them in some type of a airtight container, and sow them in the soil, or just share them with other people that want to grow some asparagus for themselves. What some people will do to hasten the process is after they've dried out, when they're ready to plant these, they'll actually take the little black seeds and soak them in water for a day or two, usually at least 24 hours, but some people will do a couple days. And Then put it in a wet paper towel and leave it for about 7 or 8 days in a wet paper towel. And after those days have passed, you'll usually see a little white root forming, and that's when it's ready to go into the ground. And once it's in the ground for a little while, obviously you'll see it start to sprout. And I did notice earlier today when I was messing with the seeds, let me go to this other side of the bed over here. I did notice in the ground, you can see right here, this is what a baby asparagus plant looks like. And obviously some of my seeds from last year fell onto the ground, and you can see they're quite resilient. This is a gravel base, but that seed was still able to grow. And I've got, looks like I've got one right here next to my foot. And then I've got several of them right here. One here, one here. Looks like another one right here. That might be 2 or 3 actually. But I've got a whole bunch of them right down through this section. And I think what I'm going to do is, these are probably at least several months old already. So what I'll do is go get a little trowel and dig these out and actually go ahead and plant them into my bed over here. That'll just save it a little bit of time, and maybe those will start coming up next year. Now, asparagus does take a little while to produce. I just noticed right there, I do have a new asparagus shoot, which is very odd. Normally this late in August, we would not have anything like that, but that looks like it's just about eating size. But we'll go ahead and leave it alone and let it produce a nice long shoot and go to fern just like the rest of these. But asparagus does take 2 to 3 years to get started. So if I were to take these plants right here and put them in my bed, they may produce shoots next year, but you definitely would not want to pick those shoots. It's usually less or best to leave them for at least the first 2 years and then start harvesting on the 3rd year. So you do have to be quite patient when growing asparagus. But once you have a bed like this planted, it will produce for 20, 25 years. You do the work one time and then reap the rewards from now on. And asparagus does get pretty expensive in the grocery store, so we like to have this bed here. And actually we have 2 beds. We have another asparagus bed over on that end of the garden that was actually here when we moved into the house. But we do enjoy, it tastes a little bit different. I think the asparagus over there is just a little bit sweeter than what we've got in our bed right here. They're probably different varieties. And you can see right here the number of berries that are produced just from a single plant. So you can plant this once and it'll continue to regenerate itself just by dropping the berries on the ground, which may or may not be good. If it's in a place you don't want it, obviously that's not going to be good. But we can easily transplant those back over here into our bed and things will be good. Well, that's enough on the asparagus talk. I'm going to go ahead and start smashing up all of those berries in that Ziploc bag and getting those rinsed off and ready to go out to either new homes or back into the ground to kind of replant this bed out. See, I just take this bag with all my seeds in it and I just kind of squish away just like this, and you can see all of those little black seeds just pop in right out of the berry as the berry gets smashed. And then all I'll do next is open up the Ziploc bag and probably dump these into a bucket and just kind of slosh them around. All of the black seed parts should kind of fall to the bottom. All the red berry parts will separate out and kind of float around. But yeah, that's all that there is to it. Yeah, there'll be probably several hundred seeds easily in this little harvest, and that'll be good for whoever needs these. You see some of them left over stuck in the bag. I'll go ahead and squeeze those out. Kind of hard to hold the camera and do that too, but we'll try to get every one of those so we can put them to use. We're just going to get a little bit of water down in there and start agitating. You can see here that everything's kind of mixed in together after you start agitating. But what will happen is some of those seeds will float. But if you are able to get the bucket tipped up and then just scoop down through the bottom, you will see that most of the black seeds will be at the very bottom. So what we're going to do is just kind of spread all of these out onto a paper towel, and we'll kind of separate some of them by hand, and then we'll probably just leave whatever's left over of the red berries on the paper towel, and things will dry out over the next couple of days, and it'll make it a lot easier to separate out. But you can see we've got quite a few seeds in there from that bag of berries, and so we're going to have a lot of baby asparagus plants from this. And here we are after we've rinsed everything off and picked out a lot of the red berry material. So you can see we've got, I'll bet there's 1,000 seeds there pretty easy. So the next step is to just let these sit. I'll probably put them in my sunroom right here. Stays nice and warm during the summertime. I'll go ahead and set them in there and just let them dry out real good. And then I'll pick the rest of that red berry material out, and then they'll be ready to go in seed envelopes and store it away for whenever we decide to use them. But a little bit of work, and it ensures that we're able to grow plenty of asparagus well in the future. And these seeds are going to make a lot of families very happy for many, many years. This is Jim from Ohio, and I hope you've enjoyed this asparagus discussion, and we'll catch up with you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.